Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful 4th of July. We've got some NBA news to get into, and Keith and I are both busy getting ready to head out to Las Vegas. So, the next time you see us, we'll actually be in person and in studio. We've got a studio show planned coming up on Friday. So, be on the lookout for that. Keith, I can't wait to get out to Vegas for the Las Vegas Summer League to get to see all the players and, of course, to get to see you finally in person in what's literally been years.
Yeah, it's been at least 3 or 4
Yeah, something
years?
like that.
Something like that. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that too. It's funny. I was telling somebody, I was like, I spend as much time with you virtually as I do anybody who's not in my immediate family, and yet we never see each other, in person. So I'm super excited about that. Safe travel. So heads up for everybody, unless there's some major news tomorrow, there will be no show tomorrow, and if there is, it'll be a very late show.
Yeah,
Because we're both traveling for a large chunk of the day tomorrow, especially me. So that'll be what takes up most of our day. So we'll get that all sorted and figured out, and we'll, if nothing else, we'll see y'all on Friday from the studio.
that's right. Going to be a lot of fun. In fact, I was just confirming, as we were getting this started, that they've got our background graphic and everything already in the studio. I can't wait to see how it all looks. It's going to be
Same.
so much fun. But all right, let's get into some of our news for today. And I guess let's start with, we kind of have to start with a Damian Lillard update. The Dame
Like the
decision.
sands through the hourglass. These are
That's
the
right.
days of our
The
lives.
dames of our lives. That's what it is. Where are things currently at? It's sounding more and more like Damian Lillard is dead set on getting to Miami. The Blazers might not be dead set on sending him to Miami, and there could be a little bit of conflict there.
Yeah, it seems like none of these things are really resolving. It seems like he is continuing to say, send me to the Heat, and the Heat are continuing to say, we want Damian Lillard, and the Blazers are continuing to say, that sounds great, give us better stuff.
Yeah.
And that seems to be where this is stuck at. Shams reported earlier today that the Blazers are not impressed with the Heat offer, and that Damian Lillard is adamant that he only wants to play for the Heat. So we've got that part of it all happening here, and then we've got the side of it of, can they rope in a third team to make this more palatable, where they send other stuff or whatever. How do they get it to come together? Because as it stands right now, they don't have enough to make this work.
Are we getting to an inflection point here? Because now we've got, and look, Dame has stayed with the Blazers way longer than anybody, rightfully would have expected him to. But nonetheless, we've got another superstar player signing a big contract, getting the money from their team, and then asking for a trade and saying, I want to trade. Oh, and by the way, I only want to go here. Otherwise, there's going to be problems. That's something that we thought might get addressed in the new CBA. It didn't. I wonder if we see Portland push back here and say, well, you know what? Just on the side of the team side in general, hey, we don't. You signed the deal. We don't have to send you to Miami. We'll send you wherever we want to. I would have to imagine that behind the scenes there'd be a number of teams that would be cheering and supporting the Blazers front office if they do take that kind of a hardline stand.
Yeah, I think we could see that from the Blazers side. I would worry a little bit from the other team's side, because do you get him and then he's extremely unhappy, and that turns into a whole thing,
Yes.
right? So I tend to think he's probably more there's gonna have to be some kind of conversation of, look, they just don't have enough. And Woj reported today that the Blazers want like a Gobert or Mitchell or Durant like return, and it doesn't seem like anybody's offering those right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and certainly Miami can't offer that. They don't have the draft picks nor the young talent to send. So that's where it gets really kind of stuck and gets super messy. So unless they can rope a third team in that loves Tyler Hero, it's going to be a hard time or a hard way, I guess, to make this work. So that makes it super messy. So I'm not sure we're going to see a resolution of this one, anytime, in the next few days. It'll probably take a little bit beyond that to get this all sorted.
And this is kind of the path that we started heading down with the whole Donovan Mitchell situation. Like New York not wanting to give up everything and all of, and then next thing you know, he's going to Cleveland. Like, this is where we could be. Okay, it's Dame to Miami, Dame to Miami, Dame to Miami. Miami's resisting, don't want to give up too much. The package doesn't work. What? Dame to Utah? Where did that come from? Right? Like, that's that's the kind of craziness that we could be in store for here with this situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there were all these things about, well, Mitchell wouldn't be happy if he was sent to, not X, Y, and Z. And then he got to Cleveland and he was perfectly happy. So,
Yep.
we'll see how this all comes together here over the next couple of days. Probably whatever amount of time you and I are both in the air, that's probably
That's when
when
it's going
it'll
to happen.
all
Yeah.
fall apart and, the wheels will come off and there'll be major trades. There'll probably be like an 8-team trade that we've never seen before with 37 players involved. And then we'll be like, oh, cool. And we missed the whole thing because we're watching the in-flight movie of Clifford or something.
Whatever the overlap time is where both of us
Yep.
are in midair, that's when it's going to happen. That's when it
Yep.
will happen because of
Absolutely.
course.
And for the
Um
people out there who like cheapskates pay for Wi-Fi, yeah, we're both happy to, but half the time it's not working on these planes. So
yeah.
we'll find out, if that's the thing or not.
Yeah, then I don't think I've never tried it, I guess, but I would have to imagine an airplane Wi-Fi signal would not be strong enough to actually send out a live stream.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know that our seatmates would much
Probably,
appreciate, that
probably
either.
not.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Hey, can you guys slide that way a little
Yeah,
bit? So you're in my
you're
shot.
you're in my shot right now. Shh, quiet down. I got to do the intro. The Mega Man music's almost over. All right. Let's get to your Orlando Magic,
Would
who
that be front office fly day?
oh, that was a good one.
Boom, boom.
Well done. Well done. Landed that one. I like it. I like it.
Just landed that plane.
Well done. Bol Bol was waived, and fans around the NBA who don't watch a lot of Bol Bol went, "We want that guy."
Yep.
You texted me and said, "Well, he's not really as good as people seem to think." What? Why did Bol Bol get waived? And do you think he clears waivers, or does somebody pick him up?
Yeah, to the first part, why he got waived. Orlando just doesn't have the roster spots anymore. They've made 2 more draft picks in this draft. They went out and signed Joe Ingles. They're moving forward in a let's be more competitive. Let's really try to start winning games phase. That combined with the lack of roster spots means no more room for Bol Bol. He put up numbers and flashed a ton of highlight type things
Mm-hmm.
when the Magic were playing those goofy lineups where they were starting like 4 bigs at a time because they had no healthy guards and it all looked good. But it's very clear to me the number of people who only saw the highlights and didn't watch the entirety of games because they missed, oh, Bol Bol had 6 turnovers and took 5 terrible pull-up 3-pointers on the break and those kind of things that occasionally happens and that those don't make the highlights. So instead of the 7-2 guy runs all the way down the floor, makes an amazing play, it's just not the experience you get with highlights only. So there's potential there. He flashes all that potential at times, but it's the same stuff as it was with the Nuggets. If you're serious about winning, you probably can't give him the minutes it's going to take to harness that into consistent production. As far as does he get claimed? Wouldn't surprise me, right?
Yeah.
There's enough. His contract is very small. It's only, just over $2 million. There's multiple teams out there with cap space and with exceptions still that, certainly could claim him and make something happen. So, I think, probably he gets claimed and somebody else signs up for the bowler coaster, as we started calling it here in Orlando. And
I like
then
that.
you'll just see.
All right. Lakers fans want to know, can Bol Bol play center?
Probably not efficiently.
Yeah.
It's just not what he is. He's super tall, but he's not a anything resembling a traditional center. Most of his blocks come in like on ball situations where he gets somebody like once a game on a jumper where they think they have enough space and then he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But his help instincts aren't great. He's not a great rebounder. Tends to get really kind of pushed around inside and the like. So it's not really a center type player for him. He's
Okay.
much more of a big forward, or even a gigantic wing.
All right. Good to know. And we'll see who ultimately does claim Bol Bol. I think somebody's going to pick him up. Just the contract's so small. Somebody will pick him up. Matisse Thybulle. Now we're at the point of the off season that we're going to start to see restricted free agents get deals here. So Matisse Thybulle is going to sign an offer sheet with the Mavs. And when he signs it, which I believe can officially happen tomorrow, the Blazers will have 24 hours to match that offer. I didn't see, is there a number on what he's getting here from the Mavs?
It's going to have to be for some, if not all, of the non-taxpayer mid-level.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Mavs have left to offer in a deal. So some people said that's crazy. They're not going to give them all of that. Yeah, maybe not. But then you got to make it big enough that Portland's not like, all right, match, done, move on.
Right.
Because even in Portland's rebuild, he's young enough to fit in with what they're doing. And none of their guys that they have really at his positions are like lockdown defenders. So you could at least, continue to move forward and keep him as part of things and go. My guess is it'll probably be pretty close to the full mid level. And then, like you said, the clock will start. And what's changing now for the restricted free agents, if you agree to a restricted free agent offer sheet, like let's say it was on July 1st, ties up your cap space or that exception all the way through to the 7th. Because you could agree to it, sign it, technically you can agree and sign an offer sheet now, but the clock doesn't start until noon on what is that, Thursday, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thursday the 6th is when the clock will start. And then that gives you 1 day. Otherwise, what happens is it's very likely what will happen is this will get signed some point later in the day on the 6th after the moratorium lifts. Then if it's afternoon, they get all the way through the 8th. To match it. If it's signed earlier in the day, it'll go. But yeah, we're no longer in a spot where teams are worried about holding up cap space or anything. So we'll maybe start to get some movement on these last handful of restricted guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's going to start happening here. Now, I do wonder too, how much does the Damian Lillard situation just kind of amplify the mess in Portland and make the decision a little bit more difficult for them?
Yeah, it definitely could. Yeah, that's a great point because they may be like, we just don't need another thing going on. Just let them go. It's not even worth messing around and adding the salary.
Okay, we did have some other free agent deals go down. Mason Plumlee back to the Clippers on a $5 million deal. There were some rumors out there that maybe he had a little bit more offered by another team, but he seemed like he kind of found a groove there with the Clippers, found a role. Obviously, he and Ivica Zubac can kind of tag team the center position there. And for the price, $5 million, I think there's a pretty good move for the Clippers so that they've got that continuity there at their center position. There was a point where there was even rumors that they might move Zubac in order to give more to Mason Plumlee and commit more to him. But in this case, they're able to keep both of them and move on with those two manning the center position.
Yeah, you've got now your like 45 minutes of center play, right? And then 3 minutes of small ball to close. If whether it's Marcus Morris, if he's still around, or if it's Robert Covington, whoever you want to close with. Even Nick Batum played the 5 at times for them.
Whoever's not traded for James Harden.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what it is. It's whichever guy's still around, not in a Harden trade. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I did see something that made me kind of perk up a little bit. It was, is Harden still as likely because they re-signed Russ? Or is that going to be an issue there? And my thought on that was, if it was an issue, they'd probably just cut Russ or say, hey, we're not going to actually sign you and figure it out somewhere else because you're a minimum guy anyway. And we'll see how that plays out. My guess is it's not really an issue. And if they want Harden and can make it work, they'll get Harden and we'll make it work.
I would have to imagine if they are interested at all in trading for James Harden, without calling him directly, I'm sure they asked around and found out, hey, if Russ is signed, is that going to be something that stops you from wanting to come here? And got an answer on that.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. The Bulls land Tori Craig. This was a guy that I thought the Suns would find a way to retain just so they would have another large contract or larger contract, I guess, for future trade purposes. But he winds up with the Bulls and can be kind of a wing defender / shooter for them. Good pickup by Chicago. Was this a missed opportunity here for Phoenix?
Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit. Now they were starting to run out of roster spots after adding 98 different players on minimum deals, which were all pretty good gets, to be honest, for what they got on the minimum. So they did quite well. But yeah, so roster spots become an issue. Bulls get Tori Craig. I mean, put him and Alex Caruso together on second units. You're going to really cause some teams issues to score against those second unit guys. He's a nice kind of filling guy if others miss time, whether it's DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, even Patrick Williams doesn't. Well, he missed time a couple of years ago, but last year was healthy. So we'll see. But just another nice rotation player. Still for the Bulls, it is a little like, where where are we going? Like, what's the long term plan here? But they're building a solid enough foundation to chase a playoff spot towards the probably top of the play-in tournament.
Yeah. Yep. And again, we talked about this before, but they already requested a disabled player exception for
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball, just confirming that, yeah, he's almost certainly going to miss the entire season. So they need all the healthy players they can get, especially defenders, because Lonzo was one of their better perimeter defenders.
Yeah, I think people forget how good he is on defense. And it's kind of, I mean, the passing is always going to be his calling card, but he's right up there as a defender, when healthy.
All right. In Milwaukee, Robin Lopez, the Twins are reunited, signing on with the Milwaukee Bucks, joining his brother Brook Lopez, who got a nice big contract from the Bucks to stick around there. And Robin, again, just depth at the center position for the Bucks. Of course, they already have Brook Lopez. They've got Bobby Portis, so they're not going to be leaning on Robin Lopez all that much. But you know what? Why not? Let the brothers play together. Let them be on the same team and get rolling from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good pickup. Minimum deal. Why not, right? You need something else at that position anyway, so you're not overtaxing Bobby Portis if Brook Lopez misses time. So, yeah, good addition. Robin Lopez always stays ready. He's whenever you need him, you can just throw him in there, and he kind of does his thing with that. And then the Malik Beasley pickup on the minimum, kind of on the slide there a little bit, just slid in there and said, hey, let's go. It was very funny. We saw all the tweets about how many 3-pointers he made off the bench, which starts to turn into a little bit of Mr. Baseball. I led this club in 9th inning doubles in the month of August. Right. Stuff like, okay, we're cherry picking stats a bit, but should be good for the Bucks, right? It does fill a need. They needed another wing. Just one more guy could go out there and make shots, and that's historically what he's done outside of really his time with the Lakers. He's been pretty much a knockdown shooter. What I would like to see is, can he get back to doing a little bit more than just being a shooter? Because he's turned into the last couple of seasons just this volume shooter guy, and he's fine in that role. But he was pretty good off the dribble, and early on, when in his first couple of seasons with Minnesota, he was doing a lot of versatile scoring. So I'm curious to see, do the Bucks kind of unlock that in him again? So 2 minimum pickups, 2 solid ones. A lot of these minimum deals this year, very few of them are like, that doesn't really make sense. They all seem to be pretty good fits that make a lot of sense across these teams.
And I think we're seeing this trend of teams saying, well, all we've got is the minimum, but we're going to give you a second-year player option as a way to kind of help out. So we're seeing a lot of these 2-year minimum deals, second-year player option, almost as like a admission that, hey, you're a bit better than a minimum contract, but this is what we've got. So we're going to do what we can to help you out on this.
Yeah, and if you're like Malik Beasley, right? Because Robin Lopez is a little bit different in his career because of his age. But if you're Malik Beasley and you go to the Bucks, have a really good year, and then they play well and they're playing deep into the playoffs, all of a sudden people are like, I remember Malik Beasley. And that's how you turn a minimum into 10 or 11, 12 million, kind of what Dennis Schroeder did with the Lakers, right? Turned a minimum opportunity into a mid-level contract for a couple seasons. So that's what you would be hopeful of if you're Malik Beasley here.
And last thing here, after what the Blazers did to prevent the Murray twins from playing together, it's good to see at least we get the Lopez twins get to play on the same team. The Blazers taking Chris Murray one spot before the Kings could get him and team him up with his brothers. So you've got some twin powers going on here in Milwaukee, even if it couldn't happen in Sacramento.
I don't know if it's still this way, but when I was a kid playing Little League, and we called it Biddy League basketball, the rule always was if there were twin brothers in the draft for that year's players, those were your first and second picks. Like if you were the parents are like, we want them both together, which they almost always were, you got them both. And sometimes that worked out okay. And other times, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be rude to anybody from my childhood. We had 2 different sets.
You are definitely listening.
Yeah, right. Definitely listening for sure. But we had 2 different sets of twin brothers that were a little bit like the movie Twins. With Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, where one was the superstar athlete and one was very much not that. So that was a different story. Now people are like, good Lord, that's I just dropped an old movie reference on people.
Well, I've been watching that Netflix series Fubar, which is just okay, but he actually made a joke about Danny DeVito and the movie Twins in it, like a callback to it. I was like, okay, that was pretty. Like I'm old enough to remember that.
Yeah, it was a weird movie.
It was. It was indeed. All right. Well, that is amazingly. This is one of our shortest shows I think ever. But that we ran through everything. Yeah. We had some technological issues to start the show. We actually restarted the show because oh my, it's been a day, and we both have to go pack for Vegas. So
yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's right. So again, look for us on Friday. We'll be back with a new show then coming to you from Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas. Till then, everybody, make sure you're subscribing to the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts as well. Stay safe and see you.